Welcome back to season 7 of Comic Book Nation, the only show that does it all for geek culture and the official podcast of comicbook.com. I am your host, Kofi Outlaw, and with me today is just my co-host, not just, but my Janelle Wheeler. We got the late game update that our boy Matthew Aguilar is having some serious car issues, and he had to go to the dealership. That is never a good Friday. So hearts out to our boy because he's at the dealership right now. He's in that Schrodinger's cat box of what the hell am I going to have to pay for today? He's waiting on the estimates. So fingers crossed for Matt.
Been there
in the future. Yeah, we all have his. Yeah, we know that anxiety of just sitting in the dealership waiting for them to come back with some crazy ass estimate. So, or at the mechanic shop. So, prayers up for our boy Matt. Well, his car. Let's just calm down. His car.
Prayers up to the car.
Yeah. So Janelle and I are going to hold it down, and we had a full show. We got a thick show today. There's a lot. We're going to be going all over the geek sphere today. The chat's already lighting up, talking about the week in geek, and yes, indeed, it was one. So let's jump right into it. Since it's just the two of us, I mean, Up first, we got the Superman trailer. So James Gunn dropped his, full official Superman trailer. I saw it. I've seen enough. I'll talk about what I thought, but I can say I don't want to see anymore. I don't think we need 15 million trailers. I know the marketing machine for this is going to be crazy. We're already getting crypto commercials, and I mean Crypto the dog. We live in a crazy world. I got to really specify everything I'm saying here. So we getting crypto commercials already. And all of that, but in terms of like full-fledged trailers, I think I've seen enough. I just want to kind of dissect what we got with this trailer. And let's start with Janelle.
Yeah.
What did you think? You're a James Gunn fan.
Yes.
What did you think of this?
Huge James Gunn fan. I totally agree with you 100%. I don't need any more. Please let some things just hang out and relax because I already feel like I know so much just from this.
I'm going to get into that. I don't feel like I do, and I want to get into that. But let's circle back. Circle
back. Well, I will say the number one thing I really wanted to, number one thing I was most curious about was the chemistry between our Lois and Clark. So seeing that dialogue and like being able to actually experience a little bit of like what is it, like a lover's quarrel, a little bit, like it was really, really satisfying. I absolutely I'm so sold. Like, I believe that they are in a relationship. I believe that they care about each other and that she's a little bit of a spitfire. And I'm really loving that. Now, I don't know some of these villains. Like, I don't know the Blade chick. Like,
that's nobody does. That's the Authority. That's the engineer. So
yeah,
she was supposed to be the bridge into a whole new movie.
Wow.
Which, Superman versus the Authority is a comic book series and kind of animated film, which basically pits Superman's naivete against a harder, like edgelord, modern team of, anti-heroes who are willing to kind of do more brutal stuff than Superman is. And so it's kind of like a little ideological shift.
Okay.
In this, it's different. They're kind of working with Lex, it looks like. So
yeah, that's what I was trying to understand from this. And I do have questions for you, and I have things that I don't quite understand because can I just say the overall thing with this was that I feel satisfied with a lot of it. I'm very excited about it. I'm pumped about it. However, I feel a little overwhelmed with the amount of like little snippets of other supporting characters. I'm very overwhelmed. I don't know who the heck all these people are. So that's kind of
that's why you read comicbook.com. Don't forget why we're here. So all ABC, always be closing. So read comicbook.com, you find all that out. Got a whole Superman trailer dissected that'll explain everything. But there's a lot that's different about this trailer. Yes, we get kind of the pieces we want from the Donner era. This is very Margot Kidder's Lois Lane, and this relationship is, Superman being idealist and Clark being idealistic with these kind of, all-American values, but Lois being he's basically the farm boy, she's the city girl, right? Like that's the dynamic. she's like, you're going to get taken on these mean streets, Smallville. Like, you're too naive. And even as Superman in this scene, like what you're trying to do geopolitically is naive. Like, and you're not looking at all the angles of how other people are going to see this or spin it or whatever. And so it's a nice counterbalance. Like, he's all powerful but naive, and she's kind of like really sharp and witty and kind of like, you know, grounded and connected to like what people think and, you know, all that stuff. There's a lot, but this is the first time we're doing this and I've been saying this, in a world of other superheroes, right? So we have this familiar dynamic from Donner, but Donner's films were just about Superman being in a world where he's Superman, and versus, you know, the only thing we had to worry about were like the General Zods and, you know, all that, but Lex was there. But this is in a world of other superheroes. And so, yeah, Superman means, and I've been saying this since the beginning, this is the first Superman film to kind of deal with that concept. Not just what does a godlike being look like to a world of humans, but what does this person who's all powerful, the most powerful hero, look like to other heroes or factions trying to sell the idea of heroism or, you know, like that. And so you have these other factions in the movie, like we see just in these trailers from all the details. LexCorp has this entire jail, right, full of armored goons and who are able to do this. You see our boy Anthony, what's his name, from Kerrigan, from, you know, Barry, as Metallo. And in this trailer, you get you get how Gunn is fitting him in this. Metallo is a guy who can transform his entire body into any element. So what is Lex having him do? He's making kryptonite out of his hand. And that's how we're getting kryptonite in this movie, right? And they're using it to keep Superman in this jail cell. And you can pick all this stuff out if you pause the trailer enough. And so they're weakening him and kind of doing all this stuff. And so they're using the building blocks of this world to kind of redefine and tell a Superman story about who he is. And I think that's something different that Gunn is doing. And I'm very interested in that part of it. Like, and so you have Green Lantern and Hawkgirl, but they're working from, we know even from the Peacemaker trailer, they're working for Maxwell Lord, who is not necessarily the best guy. And so what do they do when they're corporate owned superheroes, or they have to be on a corporate leash for whatever reason, compared to Superman, who's just moving unilaterally and kind of doing his own thing. And so I was kind of taken with that. I even posted on Twitter, obviously there's a big, you know, James Gunn lost his father, and this movie is a lot about that. And so there's a lot of father-son stuff in this that like kind of really does get to me, because I'm perfectly in the middle of having to say inspiring stuff to a young man, and, you know, being in this kind of like final chapter with my own father, who's 80 now. And just, you know, we were at a concert together last week, and I realized I have no idea if this is the last concert I would ever be with.
Oh my God, you're going to make me cry. Kofi, stop.
But that's where I am. Like, that's life now. You know what I mean?
I know. Oh my God, like, I'm there too.
Yeah, exactly. So like nothing's promised anymore. Like, even we're getting to the age where something could just randomly happen to me. Like, and it's just like, I go to the doctor now every 6 months, because I'm just like, I'm getting hyper paranoid about all this stuff. So yeah, I can't deal with any of that. That part's going to probably just crush me emotionally. But just, I mean, there are a lot of heartfelt details that people were worried about that are in this. Like Crypto is, you know, being a badass little doggy is a bad boy, is going to be, it's already cute as hell. And we love that. I think this trailer did a lot more for David Corenswet, that line, like, hey, big boy, eyes up here, like, you know, talking to a villain and just being like, we haven't gotten that really in Reeve Superman. I mean, we got it from Christopher Reeve Superman, but he was like suave and cool. This guy's just earnestly, you know, kind of has that. I see why they cast him. He looks like he can get angry.
Yes.
You know, when he's like screaming, like, but never in a bad, scary way. You don't think when he's screaming at Lois, he's ever going to hurt Lois. Like when he's screaming, like, I was just, you know, like I was just trying to save people. Like his frustration's palpable. Like,
but it was interesting to have him yell, even to just raise his voice at her. I was digging it because it makes him feel more human to me. Like he's getting overwhelmed, you know,
exactly,
and like frustrated
by this whole situation. And Lord knows, I mean, any of us in a long-term relationship is in there because, you know, you've had to figure out as a man how to navigate the space of holding your ground as a man and not over
like dominating.
Dominating. Yes. And brother, that takes a long time and possibly a lot of
And then
therapy to
there's
get
a
to.
whole
Yeah.
nother layer when you have a kid.
Um,
Holy smokes. I'm learning.
I was in the office this week and they were telling me, they were like, you can relax. Like we got it's everything's okay. Like you can relax. Cause I was just like, oh my God,
What is
these
relaxing
kids.
these
Yeah,
days?
like these kids. And they were like, yes, but Ma, no, your kid's not gonna get run out of the village. You're okay. Like
Oh my
relax. And I was
gosh, I
like,
love
oh
it.
boy. But yeah. And so I see why they cast him because he has the thing. He can be goofy.
Mhm.
Like there's a lot of this subtly about David Cornsweet in this trailer. Like he's raising his voice, he's dramatic. You can tell he has chemistry with Lois. He looks the part physically, flying around. People have been ragging on his suit, but it looks like he's not
It's
some
I feel like
perfect
it fits the
thing.
world he's in, like the
Exactly.
imagery that we're seeing in this, like other heroes' outfits, as well as like the background, like the landscapes. Like I just feel like it's blending quite well.
And it's not the Zack Snyder alien thing. Like it's his
Right.
mom saying, like, I
Mhm.
cleaned your suit. I got your
Mhm.
boots fixed up. Like
So cute.
I sewed your suit. Like, get out there. Because the suit doesn't matter.
So
He's
cute.
Superman. It's alien
Yeah.
fabric. Like but it's just like a shirt from an alien world. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I think they get that. But yeah, they did a good job in this of selling him from the various sides of this character and how much he's going to do. And we've seen him like down and injured, carrying him, being charming and caring about the robots. Like they've nailed a lot of this in the trailers. So, and I think we're so used to such overwhelming negativity, and people are still going, "This isn't Snyder," but like people aren't complaining about this guy. We're not hearing like "Ain't my Superman" trending. You know what I mean? Sometimes you got to
Mhm.
listen to the silence and interpret that. And I think they're gaining ground and just making this guy the new Superman and having him be kind of endearing and lovable and stuff like that. So good job on that. I mean,
Mhm.
I don't think you need to sell Rachel Brosnahan as Lois. I
Oh
think
my
she's
god, I
like
just
already just locked up.
adore her in this role.
Yeah, and they haven't even shown her doing like
I
too much.
know.
But we see she's going to have an active thing.
Yes.
And that's where I want to talk
She's a
about
little
Gunn. And
feisty.
yeah, but that's
She
the thing. I
pushes
love it
back.
that she's not even like the feisty woman. She just seems like a character who's a highly educated, critical thinking
Yeah.
journalist and like who's been on the ground and like talks to people as opposed to like having, all these just kind of I don't know. But I like who we're getting Lois to be in this. And you can understand how she's the lady that kind of grounds the god being and is like, yeah, right. And he's like flying around worrying about this stuff. And she's like, yeah, chill, Smallville. You got a tear in your cape. Like, calm down. Anyway, so I like that. And I like the larger world that we're seeing and the visual effects. I mean, like that giant kaiju monster looks great. The giant
Mhm.
orb, the visual effects are looking crispy. The flying's looking crispy. Everybody was kind of ragging on that. They're even doing little touches that show they
It's
respond
being
to fans.
done. Like, I
Like,
never had a doubt.
yeah, we settled Cangate. Like, they recut it so that like
Can't
now
see.
Superman gets because people were such like getting
The
so upset
name is
about
so
that.
good.
Um
Yes.
they about him getting hit by the can and flinching because Superman wouldn't flinch, so they fixing little touches like that. So this looks like it's going to be a big screen adventure worth seeing in a theater.
Mhm.
Um and the visuals make it kind of worth it. And I think the biggest thing, and we have an article going up about that, and I know some people aren't going to want to hear this, is how much this may be kind of like Batman v Superman, more so than we thought, in terms
Mm.
of the
Really?
the
Oh,
socio-political question of
that side of it, yeah.
where does Superman belong in this modern world, and kind of dealing with that. Obviously, we're going to deal with it in a much more fun, fantastical way, but I don't think we're not going to deal with that, and kind of, and I think there's going to be maybe I think the biggest thing we might get out of this is some way this movie kind of directly references the Snyder era and says we're doing something different with that same by answering that same question in a different way that doesn't involve like snapping the villain's neck at the end. So we're gonna see,
Mhm.
but I think they've been very careful with this marketing, and I thought this was a good trailer. I think they showed off what they needed to show off, more
I agree.
action, the characters we've been wondering about, Core and Sweat, the chemistry. Yeah, so in the larger DCU, that makes you go, who's that? Who dat? Who dat? And like all of that. So
Yeah.
Now, let's get to the things we don't know, because I wrote an article there in that sizzle reel. There are some very key things near the end of the trailer. We see Mr. Terrific and Lois go through a portal like thing into this world of just like that looks like the end of an incursion in the Marvel universe, where there's just bits and pieces of floating chunks. Later on in the
Mm.
trailer, we see Superman flying through there, and somebody blasting like eye beams at him. So there is a big question about what the third act of this movie is. And even I did one like, who's the villain? Because obviously Lex is there, but like,
Mhm.
why is the Authority fighting with Lex? And we've all been kind of dancing around
Seems like a minion for him.
yeah, and who this kind of brute minion with the big U on his chest is. People think that's Ultraman, who is a Superman
Oh.
from a different reality. Ultraman is from Earth 3, and if you don't know your DC multiverse,
Yeah.
Earth 3 is the one, I believe, where that was that was conquered by the Syndicate, which is the Justice League if they had become evil. Oh, yeah, the Crime Syndicate of America. So, like, Earth 3 was the one where Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman, they all ended up becoming Ultraman. Who else? Ultraman, Owlman, and like all these other Johnny Speed or something like that. It's a crazy thing, but they're the evil Justice League, and they conquered the planet on their planet. And so they are the evil ones. And some people think that Gunn is secretly pulling in the multiverse. It's not secret because we saw the Peacemaker season 2 trailer, right? And at the end, it's Peacemaker versus Peacemaker. And so it seems like Gunn is actually going to settle this DC multiverse question, I think, a little bit more directly than we think. And so I'm kind of really interested what this weird realm is in
Yeah.
the trailer. Is it the Phantom Zone? Is that something like we have Zod? Is that Zod in there? Is this Ultraman or some kind of Superman Bizarro clone? If it's Superman and Lex pulled somebody from a different reality to kind of be his Superman, that opens up a lot of doors. There's some big questions in here that are very much unanswered. So we are getting like portally, wardly, dimensiony. Like, I think all of that
Yeah,
is going
that's
to
where I
come
was
into
getting a
play.
little like overwhelmed. I'm like, I don't know what's happening, but I really like the core story here.
Yeah, so it's gonna be very interesting what we're doing here. Um, yeah. Oh, that's a good theory. John Smith in the comments saying that yeah, the DCEU Peacemaker at the end will kind of take on a mission to kill the DCU Peacemaker and take his place, and he'll be kind of a rogue agent in the other universe, and that's
Well,
why we'll
that's
be able to
cool.
kind of keep all of that, because that's a mess, because the DCEU Justice League shows up at the end of season 1, but Peacemaker's going to be in the DCU, so obviously they're going to port him over. I think a lot of what Amanda Waller is going to be up to and what her show might be about was kind of messing with the multiverse, because that's what happened in the comics recently, and I kind of dug that. So we're going to see, but this is all interesting. But all in all, we've done this for about 20 minutes. I think it was a successful trailer.
Yeah.
It's gotten quite a bit of views in 24 or 48 hours, or how long it's been this week. Has been slow and then suddenly so very fast. Yeah. And we're definitely going to be there watching.
Oh yeah.
So that was the Superman Soars part of it. Now let's get into the deep, dark parts of our soul. Andor.
But also just like elated.
Yeah. Star Wars Andor. I did this. I don't know about you, but I couldn't help but just really, in Disney Plus, you sneaky bastard.
Mhm.
They were like, you want to watch Rogue One? And I was like, hell yeah, keep it going. Keep my boy going. And so I went right into Rogue One as soon as I
Mm.
finished. I was up very late that night. I think I got halfway through Rogue One, but I was like, this is crazy. I have to go to sleep. I've watched like now 4.5
Do you
hours of
sleep
Star Wars.
halfway through Rogue One? Like, I would
I
be
just had to,
so,
because
like, buzzed.
no, they were giving a speech about rebellions and hope, and I was like, look, dog, I got to do this in the morning because I could barely see. I mean, I stayed up
Mhm.
and watched all 3 Andors in first half of Rogue One in one sitting.
Amazing.
Yeah. So, yeah, Andor. I mean, I knew in season 1 because I got the screeners and did that whole thing.
Mhm.
But yeah, greatest piece of Star Wars content for me, jumping up the list. This is just leagues above pretty much anything else in the series in terms of really nailing sci-fi, kind of mastering the prequel format of how do you just take even the smallest underdeveloped character and then build a whole story around him that not only is interesting to watch on its own, but like when you go back in and watch Rogue One at various moments, you're like, oh, you just because you know that knowledge, you're just kind of hit so differently about key things in there. Like when he has that, like, I never thought about it. I thought it was always about like Jin or something like that because he liked Jin or something when he doesn't pull the trigger on her father. And you
Mhm.
see all the thing about the Force and the healing and Cassian and like, him and his destiny. And it's like that moment hits so much different when you rewatch Rogue One now. The beach scene at the end hits so
Oh
much
my god.
different.
Okay, so you've got me convinced. I got to watch Rogue One again.
Oh my God, yes. Like,
Yeah.
because, in the span of the movie, you're like, there was this whole debate about why didn't Jin and Cassian ever kiss on the beach? Or like, and there was one cut where they kiss in an elevator and they make it romantic, but like, yeah, they don't do it. And
Yeah.
now, like, now that hits so much different. Why? Like,
Mhm.
everything in that movie, Saul's Guerrera's end in like after his fight, him just still putting on the mask and huffing stuff before he does crazy stuff after that fume scene. Like it's just all hits different. So yeah, just taking a prequel and making and deepening your appreciation of the thing that you saw first is such a hard thing to do. And this show did it. And these last episodes were just crazy, crazy masterful. The Clea episode, like everybody, shout out to this show for understanding and listening to its audience, knowing Clea. And did you read that the actress who plays Clea, this was her first professional job?
What?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it was her first professional job, and they expanded her role after season 1 after they saw how good she was and how much people like were like, "Yo, we love Clea, like she's an icon." And so they expanded her
Dang.
role in season 2, including giving her that episode 10, focus episode, which one of the greatest spy espionage kind of
So
episodes ever.
Oh my
Like,
god.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it just the way it hits, because just from Luthen's big speech to Lonnie in season 1 about never seeing, that dawn, fighting for that dawn you're never gonna see. And yeah, and just everything that happens in such rapid succession, and just everything in these last 3 episodes were just like bringing it all together so masterfully. Like it was crazy good storytelling.
I hate
Yeah, that
making it
scene.
about myself, but like, bro, I didn't really care about Star Wars before this. Like genuinely, I would just kind of like put on the face for the podcast or for all my Star Wars friends. I'm like, oh yeah, Star Wars was so cool from the 80s, man, like my childhood. But like, I didn't really, wasn't really into it. Never really understood the stakes. Never, I was just like, oh yeah, like there's the light side and then there's the dark side and bad, good. And like there's a sister brother situation and she's a princess and there's like lightsabers and that's cool. And I like all the little puppets that like jump around in the original films. And then this freaking show, I get it now. I understand all of this political stuff. I know what the rebellion is. I my brain is exploding because it's not like a fun little like spacey timey-wimey thingy like I love my Doctor Who, right? Like I love
Yeah.
Doctor Who, spacey timey-wimey. This is so heavy and I never realized that Star Wars is heavy. Like this is so like earth-shattering, world-shattering, universe-shattering, galaxy-shattering, and this show has just completely taken hold of me. I dream about it. I'm just in awe of this. This is my favorite Star Wars anything ever. And before that, Rogue One was my favorite, and I didn't really like I didn't understand the stakes or anything. I just thought it was a very well done movie. I'm completely obsessed. Like it makes me sad that like I don't know how they're going to replicate this, but I hope they try with another story because it was just brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, we have articles about this. For me, I think it was keeping like just telling the story and controlling your world. They let Tony Gilroy control this world. He cast it how he wanted to. We didn't have to. I don't know if anybody's. We're going to talk about it later in the show, the studio, but I don't think they had like a diversity casting board. They cast actors and characters they wanted. They
Mhm.
made a show first, like a creative vision first, and it had a point, and it leaned into what Star Wars was originally about. People have forgotten all the toy sales and the merch, but like George Lucas went outside the studio system. Nobody wanted to make his film to make a film that borrows from any number of cultures, from Japan to the Middle East to American history, to obviously World War II history, and to make a kind of political sci-fi allegory about, the fight against fascist reign and kind of
Mhm.
dark cult mentality and things like that. Because the Nazis
So
were a mix of
crazy.
kind of like cultish religion, military might and political, facade. And so yeah, and it was kind of dealing with all that. A lot of Vietnam stuff in there. The jungles, there's a
Yeah.
lot in there going on.
Oh god, I'm
Um,
gonna watch everything so differently now that I
oh,
understand.
well, it's just getting better. Like what Rogue One and Andor have done is now kind of like really shown the potential for what Star Wars has been trying to do for a long time. But this has done it and gotten it right in a way that we now have different, well, one creator, Tony Gilroy, kind of attached to both projects, but the vision from now, because I've actually gone through Andor to Rogue One and then right into A New Hope. I just finished A New Hope this morning. And New Hope is just like your prototypical, it's such a simpler movie now, but it does change like how you see it. You see Luke going around and complaining, whining, and you like, you little dumb F, you like, you don't know how many people just died for this. Like,
True.
just so
Yes.
you can have this chance. Like, and even, I mean, even to lesser extents, things like Obi-Wan, like you now watch Alec McGinnis in this, and you realize how much more powerful it is, like this full circle thing with Obi-Wan and Darth Vader and how they met before and fought in, the prequel series and even his stuff with Leia, even though, there's
Yeah, see, that's
continuity
I
with
need
little
to
things.
rewatch every
Um,
single movie now, understanding
Yeah, and it's
everything.
like when the full history does make an impact. You
It
do
really
understand more about the
does.
Clone Wars and how long this has gone on and how much Luke is oblivious to. But you forget like how dark Star Wars is. Like, yeah, that first movie has him come home to find the burning skeletons of his aunt and uncle just like
Mhm.
laid out in front of the farm, right? Darth Vader's choking people. They blow up Alderaan, an entire planet, in front of Leia after she,
Mhm. And we're
make
just
her
talking about,
watch.
like, personal things, like, then you start talking like, I just it's insane to see, like, the beginnings of the Death Star, right? Or,
Yeah,
like, that there's a Bebe with Bix.
yeah.
Like
Yeah, and all of that, but that's just like the force of it all, the circular nature and poetry of
Mhm.
Star Wars, like
Mhm.
it's all crazy that like bad things are happening, but new hopes are born,
Confused.
quite literally. Like
I didn't even know what Palpatine was. Like, I obviously knew the name, but I never actually understood what Palpatine, like, was, and now I'm like my brain is exploding. Like,
yeah, it's pretty nuts, right? Like so, and
it
even
oh, it's just so good.
yeah, just getting more appreciation, like not appreciation, but understanding of like the ISB, the Imperial side, like what
Yes.
they did, like all of
Yes.
these,
Oh.
because they're all even the little cameos from all these high-ranking officers that appear throughout the
Mhm.
series and stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, we could go on and do a whole podcast just about
Yeah.
Andor, but like,
Really good. Not with me though, because 'cause I'm such I don't know. I'm
yeah,
just casual.
yeah,
Casual
and
viewer.
yeah, and just everything about this was great. Mon Mothma's
Oh,
arc, to
so
see where
good.
she and her sister end up, and yeah, the arcs to this were just so powerful. To see the ISB officers get eaten up by the same evil machine they helped put in place. Deidre Merrows, and he's going to haunt us for a long time. Because she's a kid, and she ended up in Narkia 5, right? That prison that Cassian was in. That's where she ended up. Um,
Mm.
and she was a kid from a system. She was raised in kind of training block, and then never had a life. And yeah, man, it's powerful stuff. It was real
Mhm.
powerful stuff. So shout out to Andor, greatest Star Wars. Let's do more like it.
Bravo.
I just want this adult
Bravo.
kind of wing of Star Wars, and there's
Ugh. So
I think
good.
we have an article going up. I would keep going with just this line of it. I would love
Mhm.
to see, because now people are saying there's this girl in Empire Strikes Back and the Battle of Hoth that looks like she could be Clea. So people are now saying Clea is still in it. I would love to know what Clea did. I would love to know what
Yeah.
Mon Mothma did during the Mandalorian era after the
Oh
rebellion,
my gosh,
because that
yes.
wasn't easy. That got messy again, like in all of that. So I would love to know more about like Luthen's young years and who he was and kind of all of
Same.
that,
Oh my god,
because of that
stop.
pivotal
This
episode.
is
I want to know. I want a Jyn Erso series about like her and becoming a freaking revolutionary under Saul Guerrera, being like his surrogate daughter. Like what was that like? Because that dude's nuts. Like, so there's probably a lot of stuff to do when him, you know, indoctrinating her mind and getting her into being the badass that she was. So yeah, I want to keep going with this whole strain of the franchise. There's so many good stories to be told, and if we could do it with Cassian Andor and make him the guy who's walking to the ship at the end and we're all like ugly crying, yeah, we can do it. We can keep on going. So
heck yes.
uh yeah, I know, guys. Everybody's gonna point out, and this is what happens with Star Wars. We're like, oh, I would love to see this, and then it's like, there's already 5 books about it, and we're like, I know. I'm just talking about live action. We've hooked a
Yeah.
bigger audience with this, and
Mhm.
I want to keep it going. So anyway, we've seen that Star Wars can still be that thing, and that makes me feel happy. It really does. We're gonna take a break, and then we're gonna get back and talk about what's in the theatre, and then talk about some comics, and that's about it because we don't have an agenda for Matt today because Matt's out. Ooh, oh, I'd for. Oh man, well, we take a break. I'm gonna try to speed put in all the trailers that I clearly wrote into this show and did not give to Peter at all, or put into the show rundown because I'm so brilliant at like 3 a.m. So we're gonna do all of these things. I'll see you guys in a bit. I wasn't muted, but apparently I took today not to spout my usual completely offensive diatribes behind the scenes, so I dodged a bullet. Ha ha. Ha ha. No, I'm just kidding. People heard me clicking as I'm scrambling to get trailers in here because, like I said, completely nailed this. All right, so let's talk. Was there even a King of the Hill trailer? Comic book catfish me? All right. We'll fix this later. We'll fix this on the fly. Let's go. It's been a great day. It's all going smoothly today. So let's talk about what's
I only
in the
saw
theater.
Ironheart.
Yeah, I only saw Ironheart, so we're just going to talk about Ironheart. But let's talk about what's in the theater right now. I went out and saw Final Destination Bloodlines. I actually made it a fun surprise date. I grabbed my wife, threw the kids and my parents yesterday, and we went, got some high ABV beers, and were the only other set of people in the theater, and we had a good old time. So I had a good old time with Final D, as I usually do. Final D B. Let's talk about what is up with this kind of reboot. It's been a I think it speaks to the staying power of Final Destination that I was talking with friends this week because, people are finding, kind of coming up on people's radar that this movie's out now. And we were talking about how much we still watch those movies. And so, yeah, it has been, oh, it's been since 2011 since I got married. And so 14 years. Yeah. About 2011. Yep, 14 years since we've had a Final Destination movie. That's crazy. But it doesn't feel like that because again, they keep getting replay in a lot of people's lives apparently. So what is Final Destination Bloodlines, the sixth film in the series, about? It's this kind of reboot. It's directed by Zach Lipovsky and Adam Stein, and it's just a mess. It's kind of it's funny. It's a mess, but it's still Final Destination, so it's still just dumb fun. The plot line this time is this lady in the 60s, as you've seen in the thing. She went to this Sky restaurant. She did the premonition thing. For some reason, the movie makes a lot of odd pacing and story choices where I think it's getting dinged with critics. I don't think viewers are going to care as much, but critics point out rightly that the narrative structure of this is a complete freaking mess. You get this long sequence. And I mean, like the beginning of this movie is so disjointed that the sequence in the 60s is close to like 15, 20 minutes of like setup, character introductions of characters you're never going to see again because it's in the past. Then you jump to the present and you begin to get this mystery of why this main character girl is saw this restaurant vision in the first place. And then it becomes this mystery about her family, her crazy grandma, and death, and the thing we already know. So they make a lot of weird choices to try to mystery up what we already know is a Final Destination movie. Like and the characters are just like spend an incredibly long time not believing death is really coming for them. So it's a weird choice. And it's why this movie ends up being 110 minutes is because we have to spend about 30 minutes of unnecessary like character story building. But it's kind of necessary because the trick is, and me and my wife were talking about this at the end, most Final Destination movies are about random strangers who survive something getting picked off one by one. Right. And the whole thing about the first movie is this one kid keeps showing up in these random strangers' deaths and he gets suspected to be a serial killer or whatever. That's the whole trick. This one is about a family getting knocked off. Right. So you have to actually take the time to build up the characters, the family dynamic, like what is the history, what's going on there, so that you care about why these characters care about each other, if that makes any sense. So they only halfway pull that off, because that's a lot to ask for a Final Destination movie. Like dramatic investment in characters is hard to do. But it does work in the sense that once this movie gets into about halfway through the second act, you know these characters well enough now that like you get and you do care that they care about each other surviving. Their family, it hits harder when one of them dies, right? Because it's another family member gone. So that part works. Getting that established faster in maybe more sequels would be good, because they do set it up that now it's about family trees. It's about this was the first incident survived, and everybody who had families after that are all part of Death's cleanup design. That's everybody from, in the end credits make it clear that all of these family trees ran through all of the films. Right. So yeah, the plane crash, the highway thing, and they play the highway thing a lot in this. There's several callbacks to that, which are great. I will say positives. The marketing for this was very smart. They fake you out. Like a lot of this stuff you say, oh, I've seen the kills in the trailer. Like, huh? Like it's not. They fake you out in big ways about where and how people will actually get knocked off and how death shows up. And some of the kill sequences in this are very intricate, but very good. Like you forget like little pieces, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, me and my wife both at several times. She had 2 times. One time she screamed outright out loud. It was like, that was too much. Like that was too much. Like, and then another time she just got caught by surprise. I even did the whole, because I forgot about something. And they do a good job of like almost setting up a joke early, and then like you forget about it for a good portion of the film, and then it comes back like near the end and it's like some big jump scare or something, because you're like, oh my god, I forgot that they showed you that like so long ago. And so that part worked. The whole Rube Goldberg of it all, they did some pretty intricate kills in this one, and they're pretty good. The pacing and the family drama stuff, like obviously it's a Final Destination movie. Like, what are we doing here? So I think the franchise could be back. Like, make it about characters who actually care about each other again, and they're trying to survive together and get to it faster. Yeah. And don't spend money on something like this crazy opening sequence that was so probably costly to the budget of this movie and doesn't have that much importance to the story for us to be hanging out with like 15, 20 minutes of story. You know what I mean? Chill. All right. That's it. Final Destination. I would say go see it, though. Get some people in there and go check that out and have some fun. Get that high, do the Janelle, get that high APV and
I
enjoy
love that that's like associated with me. That makes me so happy.
You've been stumping for that. Like, yeah, man. Like, it's now a thing. It's now a thing. This show
It
has
was
been around long
wine
enough.
at Thunderbolts, but
Hey, you kept it classy. That's very good. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about the Ironheart trailer. Because the internet's obviously, we're in the days and times where the internet's obviously taken that well. Ironheart.
gosh.
So yeah, we're getting Ironheart. It's coming up real fast. They're dropping all of it, I believe, at once. So
oh wow.
I'm kind of like shaded out, and I'm kind of looking at Disney sideways right now because
Yeah.
I'm like, you guys are kind of. It's like what I said about HBO last week and like Bella Ramsey, like, and doing that whole thing. Like, I feel like you guys are kind of doing your people dirty and kind of sending them out to die somewhat.
I
And I
agree.
feel, okay, so we're getting 3 episodes right off the bat on June 24th. There might be
Okay.
another batch coming after that or weekly after that. I'm not sure. It's
Well,
only
that's
6
better.
episodes. It's only 6 episodes though. So we're
Oh,
getting
it's
the
only
first
6
half of the series. Yeah.
episodes. Oh,
Um,
wow.
and obviously people are freaking out about this. There's the DEI Iron Man. There's all this stuff going around. I'm just wondering if this show is been produced right and if it's going to be interesting, because I just thought it didn't. We're coming off things like Andor being on Disney Plus, right? And
Mhm.
I'm just like, is this going to work? You're trying to do like Iron Man level stuff on the small screen. You're trying to do New York or like inner city stuff too, in sets and practical things that look like they were shot on green screen, a
Oh,
process
wow.
we're all kind of over. And Anthony Ramos as the Hood, like, the Hood is such a Parker Robbins, like such a distinct character in the comics and villain. Like, I don't know about this approach to it, but it
Mm.
looks kind of like, and I'm not trying to rag on it, but it does look kind of like somebody's Marvel fan film if you're watching this without sound. So
Wow.
until you get to these like weird upgraded hyper like Iron Man sequences, and then it's just
Mhm.
like, I don't know if this is all going to fit together the
Yeah.
way that it should. And it looks like this could be the mix where we also get some weird Mephistophesian type stuff. Shout out, if you know that reference, Mephistophesian type stuff. And yeah, like, it's going to be a weird mix. Like, if
I
this is our
don't want them to
supernatural,
waste like, why would they waste Mephisto on this?
but yeah, this is our whole entry into the supernatural kind of realm, plus a new kind of Iron Man tech race era. There's
Yeah,
a lot
that's really
going on in
weird.
this
That's
for a
weird.
show with this kind of production value. And
Uh-huh.
I'm nervous, and I don't, and I just feel bad because I feel like poor, Dominique Thorne, who plays Riri Williams. She was a major standout in Wakanda Forever, and I feel like
Mhm.
she's been waiting in the wings this whole time. And it's just like, I don't. It's like Echo. Like,
Yeah.
they did Echo dirty, and Alakwa Cox is a good actress and was like a breakout from Hawkeye for a reason. But when she got her own series, they just dumped it out, and we're like, all right, and we don't have faith in this, and we're not gonna like shore it up anymore. And so I feel like we're kind of in similar territory.
I
But
would say that, like, I don't hate these things. I just don't like, obviously, they're not like Andor, they're not things that I absolutely adore. Like, even Miss Marvel, I really liked it, but it's been a minute, right? And I kind of have forgotten it. I just feel like I don't feel like it's gonna be terrible. I just think it's gonna be forgotten.
yeah, and I want to give some grace to the team involved with this show.
Yeah.
I want to say, yeah, Shinaka Hodge is going to be the showrunner, and I want to give some real grace to this because I think this is just a holdover from the Chapek era. I'm going to be honest. I think this is the Bob Chapek stuff. It's the same rushed production. I think they've tried a million ways to save it and salvage it best they can. But I just think they were finally like, look, it is what it is. We got to get past this. We got to, it's going to be what it is, and we got to get past this kind of hump that we're trying to get over right now. We're trying to get into phase 6. We're trying to get back to the big stuff, and we got to get through this because they already had to shoot. They shot it. They made it. They had to do this.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is kind of the leftovers, and I feel bad again because I think this could have had a lot of potential, but I think this is all going to reek of too little, too late. And yeah, we should have had this years ago. And it would, like right after Wakanda Forever, this show had a much better chance of at least making a buzz. So
yeah,
I don't know.
I just honestly, truly, I'm happy it's coming out because I need something, right? Like Andor's over and I need a reason to still have Disney Plus. But I feel like this will just be like my relaxation, like throw it on while I'm washing dishes or folding laundry kind of show.
And yes, I will remember Zach G on YouTube that this is all against the barometer of that show called Secret Invasion. So as long as it's above that, it's not the worst. So
evil.
And sometimes that's the win you need.
I love our comment section.
Oh yeah, our live shows, there's brother, trust me, we think about it weekly about how much more we could do with like a soundboard and production and editing and all kinds of cutting out segments to put at the beginning, little funny things we could do, but then we'd miss you guys. It's literally the live show comment gang that we would miss and we can't let go of. So we do this just to hang out with you guys. And that's why we're the only damn podcast up here doing live shows for 7 years. And yeah, everything we have to do is on the fly because we're true pros. Nobody knows it. Nobody acknowledges it, but we're true pros. All right, let's keep going. Let's get into some comics. And we do the widest variety of content probably too.
Hopefully.
Nuts. Yeah, it's nuts. Underappreciated.
I appreciate you, Kofi.
Comic Book Nation. I appreciate you too. I mean, even on days like this where we got to hold it down for a Janelle Kofi show.
I love a Janelle Kofi show.
Against wall. Yeah, I mean, this is where we thrive, man. We thrive.
Especially when we agree on things.
I like it when we don't agree on things.
We're kind of in agreement on like everything except for the fact that we can both agree that your wife is awesome, that she goes to Final Destination on a date. Because if my husband tried to tell me we're doing that, I'd be like, absolutely not.
This is the first movie I've gotten her to go to. She remarked on that without kids in probably like 5 or 6 years.
Oh my God, she did that instead of Thunderbolts.
Yeah, no, my wife doesn't care about any of that Marvel DC.
Oh, that's killing me. Okay, well, and that is why she is
reality. Yeah,
you guys are amazing.
Tell you everything about 90 Day Fiance, 1,000-Pound Sisters. Yeah, she can tell you a lot about reality show stuff. Yeah, she's knocking that out. We're both doing the Secret Lives of Mormon Wives.
Oh my God.
I got thoughts. They dumped that whole season on Hulu. It's not weekly.
I can't. I tried. I think those girls are done. When you brought
Spoilers,
it up,
I haven't finished. I don't know, but I'm telling you, because they dumped the whole second season on Hulu, those girls are done. They were like, get this out of here. Get me out of these contracts. And
good. I'm so not into it.
Oh my God, I love it. I love that they are so hard.
When you brought it up on the podcast, I was like, okay, I'm going to start watching this. I could not get through even half of the first episode. They annoyed me so much.
I mean, how do you feel now? You could be, aren't you interested in mom talk yet?
Absolutely
Are you mom
not.
talking?
No, I'm not trying to like. The people I follow on for mom advice are like doctors and physical therapists and like nutritionalists, like people that actually have information to give me that is worth anything on the earth, not some like shallow ass freaking fake religious women.
Yeah. So I love the mess. It's the mess that I love. It's a slow car crash. It's so amazing. And this season, you can get away with it. The first season, you can present who you want to be on TV. Second season, the internet's dug through you.
Shows it all.
Yeah. Oh, and
That's
it's
great.
so good. It's so good. Oh man. Shout out to the LDS. I'm sorry, guys. We all got to take our lumps sometimes on the PR side. But I grew up with several LDS girls. They were awesome. They resisted every attempt for us to corrupt them, and Lord knows we tried. And shout out to them. All right. So I don't know
Absolute
how we Batman. Yeah,
Batman.
let's talk about comics. So this week we had Absolute Batman number 8, and what a freaky little tale this was. This was our
Dude.
full-fledged introduction to the new Absolute Universe version of Mr. Freeze. And yeah, I really dug it. This was kind of this was Absolute Batman dipping fully into a kind of horror story tale. This version of Freeze was very interesting, and I liked the kind of concept that it kind of worked around with the ice, and the ice being this kind of, the whole concept of the ice being this thing where he's cryo freezing people, but it's this state of perpetual agony, like hyperthermia, where you're just suffering the entire time you're frozen, was such kind of like this nightmare concept, but like kind of so brilliant for like Mr. Freeze at the same time. And just the way that it changed his body and his powers and all of that, I found really compelling. And Scott Snyder continuing to cook. And this was probably like the scariest version of Mr. Freeze I've seen. It can be so cheesy. I mean, Arnold Schwarzenegger and all that, and when it goes the other way. So I thought this was very good. And this was like, we're settling into a Batman story. This was a great standalone issue about kind of, Batman and Bruce, and telling a very Batman story, which is Bruce really on a suicide mission whenever he's trying to be Batman? Or is this something higher? Or bro, you just trying to go out here and get killed like your parents because you got trauma and damage. And I thought they handled that really brilliantly, using, I don't know if you picked up on that, but his friend who kind of in the flashbacks is beating his behind. That's
Yeah.
Waylon Jones. That's Killer
Yes,
Croc.
I got at the
Oh yeah,
very end.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, really cool because of how they leave the comic with him getting obviously, like, taken away,
yeah.
like, drugged and taken away. Yeah, this comic, I will say, like, I 7, and I knew that, so luckily I read them back to back together, 7 and 8, and they fit so beautifully together, like, it just goes right into it. Mr. Freeze is actually like petrifying. And I just think they've done such a great job at giving us like heart and background of, Batman and Bruce and his story in this world. And then also just giving us the current happenings. And I feel like there's just so many layers to him in these books that I really appreciate. Like the friendships, the history, like, even calling himself like Mr. like Pennyworth when he goes into Mr. Freeze's lab, like little things like that. There's just like tons of little nuggets and a lot to like chew on with these. So I really enjoy them.
No, yeah, I mean, I agree. Like, I think you nailed it on the head. Like, we talk about like Superman as a book. And I think what this book is doing, and this issue is particularly good at showing, is this is still a Batman story, even with the cool villain, the creepy villain. Like, it's still very much a Batman story.
Mhm.
And it's about Batman. And like we said, about Bruce and his will, and like, and what his mission here, what is he trying to accomplish? And his friends kind of holding him accountable. And I like that what they've done with the Rogues Gallery flip to his best friends group, so that Bruce isn't, and this Bruce isn't isolated like the other one. He's not isolated
Mhm.
by his wealth and his status. He's living amongst the people, and he has these friends that are also from this kind of lower like not lower income, but lower status in society. And I like that. And it's a good new dynamic. But
Mhm.
also, yeah, we didn't even talk about freaky things since we read both issues back to back, like Mr. Freeze being able to like unfreeze crazy diseases and things like that, and poison people and do all that kind of nuts stuff. That was nuts. And how they used in the heartbreaking kind of story of Matches Malone, which has already caused trauma in a lot of fans, about his arc, about
Mhm.
like, trying to pay Bruce back for the day at the zoo and the whole thing about that. Like, that's crazy, man. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, so
So,
good.
Yeah, good flip on Batman lore. All right. So
Yeah.
if you're not reading Absolute Batman or any of these Absolute
Ugh,
books, you
read
guys
them
are really,
all. Read
yeah, you
them
guys are really
all.
missing out. Read them
So
all.
good. Can
Finally,
I just say, dude, this next one, Kofi, One World Under Doom, number 4. I'm just gonna drop the grenade. I don't get it. I am not into it at all. Like I could care less. I don't care at
I
all.
just accidentally opened like 50 tabs at once. That was crazy. My computer might blow up. One World Under Doom. It was cool. It was cool. I mean, this was like lunch table fanboy service, right? It's like it's kind of one of those things like, oh, what if like, I mean, this is like, I mean, I don't even know. I'm stumbling on my words, but it's purely, this is the nerdiest of the nerd, right? Like stuff you and your friends sit down at the lunch table and argue about. What if Doctor Doom fought like Dormammu and like, they had these
Yeah.
powers? And so we get that, right? So this is straight up just like a Doctor Doom versus Dormammu kind of battle. And I found it interesting simply not because of two things. One, that the artwork was really good. I thought that was
Yes.
really nuts. And so the actual depiction of this epic battle was really good. And two, it was one of the rare cases where I actually found myself kind of compelled to be in Doctor Doom's head and to kind of hear his monologue. It first, the third person thing always screws me up, right? Because he's always talking
Mhm.
about himself in the third person. So I thought somebody else was narrating, and then I was like, oh wait, it was just that Doom stuff. But once I got that down and him just like hearing his interior thoughts throughout this and seeing the kind of stages of the battle was really interesting. Seeing him finally rely on the heroes was kind of really interesting to me. Like it kind of was like a weird expose on Doom's kind of admiration for these heroes in a weird kind of way. Like him beating Dormammu by just like taking on Wolverine's powers and other people's powers and his knowledge of just like kind of fighting them for years and using that and then bringing them back at the end kind of was like,
Mhm.
it's interesting. It really is. So I thought it was an interesting Doom issue, but yeah, this is, I mean, if we're all being honest, this is like the nerdiest of the nerd end of the pool. Um, yeah, so yeah, I get it if you weren't really messing with it, and that's
Yeah.
perfectly a-okay.
I
Like,
mean, I wish
so
I had more to say, but
this, I don't think you're like, yeah, I don't think
it
you've been
just
digging this whole series.
it's been all right, but I just feel so disjointed in reading it. Like we don't have any other characters, and to me, neither one of these were standalone enough characters to really carry an entire issue by themselves.
Yeah, I mean, it's a weird, like I said, it's a very like esoteric, hardcore Marvel nerd kind of
Mhm.
choice to make. It's one of those things you sit around the lunch table with your other nerd friends being like, but if they fought, Doctor Doom knows magic and he could do this. And it's like, yes, but Dormammu's a lord of darkness and he could do this. And it's like, it's one of those.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah, I get it. There's only so much nerd you can handle for a lot of people. This is what we call nerd extreme. But like I said, the artwork, in terms of one of those things, this will be remembered as like, yeah, this is one of them fights, like where you have Doctor Doom versus Dormammu and this epic kind of sorcery kind of blah 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 blah. So I'll give it points for that, but it's okay. Sorry, I know a bunch of other stuff came out this week. We read other stuff, but Matt's not here, and he had the kind of
We'll cover it. We can do a makeup next week.
yeah. So we'll do that when Matt's back proper, and we're doing all that. I was just trying to, yeah. RB Silva still continues to be kind of the MVP of this whole One World Under Doom thing. Like if this wasn't RB Silva's artwork, like I don't think any of this would hold together nearly as well as it does. So let's just put that on the table. But the image of Doctor Doom popping out magic Wolverine claws with a Doctor Strange cloak and stabbing Dormammu through the ribs is gonna. I mean, that's one of those things I feel like will go down as some positive Marvel imagery. And seeing kind of Doom go to the extremes, getting his bones broken out of his armor, all that stuff. Like I said, it was an interesting thing about Doom, because if you ask what Doom's real superpower is, it's his will. It's his willpower. And this issue kind of got to that. It then humbled him to the point where Doom has to go beyond his own will, his own ego, and do something else. All right. So that's that. That was comics. Any parting thoughts? Anything about this week you wanna touch on?
Doctor Who is just killing it. And then also, if anyone's watching Eurovision, let's go. It's so
All right.
fun.
I know you said you had to drop off, so you can. I can do an outro through the show because I'm gonna get off my agenda real quick
All
before I
right.
get out of here.
Thank you, everybody.
All right. Interesting things we have on comicbook.com right now. We're talking about The Last of Us, and is this show kind of is it losing its way? This last episode still had some awesome cordyceps action. It had some drama and things, but we're coming down to the end of the season really fast, and a lot of fans are wondering, is this thing kind of losing its pacing? So yeah, that's a big question, and we're going to be answering it as we come down to the final episodes of the season and talking about where it leaves off and how fans should feel about it. Also, I had a big question. None of the gang kind of really answered me, but I was wondering who out there is watching The Studio on Apple TV Plus. If you are not, you should be. It is probably one of the best news shows of the year. And if you haven't kind of heard about this, this is from Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg, the kind of dream team of comedy that is behind things like Superbad and a whole bunch of other stuff that you know. And The Studio is kind of this mock series about Hollywood itself and a satire of Hollywood that some people, you're even kind of getting upset, maybe a little bit too truthful. But in it, Seth Rogen plays the head of basically something like Sony, a studio where he gets, in the first episode, promoted to be the new studio head over his longtime mentor, who was played by Catherine O'Hara of Beetlejuice and Schitt's Creek fame, who was basically kind of like an Amy Pascal figure. And the first season's all about him and his team around him, and it's a great cast. Ike Barinholtz, that comedic guy who's in Eastbound and Down, The Mindy Project, and other Mad TV, other things. Catherine Hahn, Agatha All Along fame, all of that. They all play kind of his inner circle, and each episode is a kind of it's done guerrilla, where they kind of shoot over Seth Rogen's character's shoulder, and it's the start of a day or a situation they follow in real time, just kind of everything he goes through. There's episodes set at the Golden Globes. There's episodes about trying to fix a movie or trying to land a movie pitch. And it's all about Hollywood. Many guest stars who are doing hilarious kind of send-ups of themselves, from Martin Scorsese to Ron Howard, Anthony Mackie, Dave Franco, Zoe Kravitz. Like it's pretty nuts how much they kind of get inside the world of Hollywood and make it almost a little slight zany twist on reality. So if you haven't checked that out, check out The Studio on Apple TV Plus, because I would love to talk more about it with you guys. Also, John Hamm is killing it in Your Friends and Neighbors, another Apple TV show where he plays a rich guy who has to start robbing his neighbors, and that's also excellent. So that's my agenda, because Matt's not here. All right, this has been Comic Book Nation. I am Kofi Outlaw, the sole survivor, broadcasting from the bunker. We do it all for geek culture. You can find all of our work and many more features about all kinds of geek culture stuff over on comicbook.com. Shout out to Matt, shout out to Janelle, and shout out to everybody in the live chat. Thank you guys for joining us. Peter was running the show. Thank you, Peter, today for kind of moving our time and allowing us to do it at this time. We'll see you guys next week. Everybody have fun as school starts to end and summer starts to roll in. I am Comic Book Nation. Peace.